Test. Test. We're going to call to order the City Council meeting for Monday, June 5th, 2023. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. We're going to go on to roll call. Amanda.
Leclerc.
Here.
Darla Leclerc.
Here.
Tracy Coach is absent. Tim Petrie.
Here.
Bonnie Shimalunas.
Here.
Scott Steckmesser.
Here.
And Adam Wahusky.
Here.
And Jeff Dalkey.
Here.
All right. Number 4 is consideration of any council member wishing to participate in this meeting via remote location. Tracy is missing, but she does not want to participate. She is on vacation. So there is no public hearing either. So we will skip number 5. Going right to number 6, which is input from the public. Anyone wishing to address the council on something that's on this agenda or something you'd like to see on a future agenda, please step up to the podium, my right, your left, and state your name and address for the record. Input from the public.
Hello, my name is William Otto. I'm currently living at 1800 Jefferson Street, apartment number 206, and here in Two Rivers. I know I brought this up a time before, but I'm kind of a little bit worried about the softball diamond being ripped up over at Neshota Park. That's a little bit of concern. I know it's not used very often, but like my family and stuff like that in the summertime, I like to have Christmas in the summertime. And we always have it at Neshota Park, and we all play kickball out there. And I think we spend like our whole family spends like $100 over at Pick and Save. And I think if the city plans on tearing it up, people from out of town, not everybody, but some people leave their garbage and stuff like that in the park. And I feel like that would just be an extra spot for cars when they park there. That probably just, they don't pick up after themselves. They don't always spend money in our city. They bring their stuff from Brilliant or wherever else they're coming, and they don't pick up themselves. I think parking meters would be a great spot. Would be good to kind of, help Parks and Recs, like generate money and stuff like that.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to address the council? Input from the public. All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to number 7, which is council communications. Any letters or other communications from citizens that any council member would like to share at this time? Pretty quiet.
I got a bunch.
Oh, not so quiet.
Anybody else? They can go first.
Bonnie?
As long as somebody did write to us about fences. If you're going to write to the council and you want us to get back to you, put contact information. I can see how that can happen, but that's why I never answered the person. But the thing about fences, he thought there was an unfair rule, but I think he misunderstood the ordinance. Really, the height of fences has to do with where they are. In other words, if they're near a corner and it interferes with the site of the intersection, you can't do that. Or if it's at the end of a driveway, you can't do that either because nobody can see you coming out of your driveway. I just thought I'd clarify that.
Thank you, Bonnie. Anybody else? Jeff?
Yeah, I got several of them. I actually just got a message, and somebody was wondering, is private security going to be required for Lakeshore Visionaries event that they're going to have at the community house?
I don't think so, but I would defer to Mike on that one. And Mike is shaking his head no.
The police chief has been consulted with, as is required by policy, about that event. And there's not, unless Ben tells me otherwise, there's not been a determination that private security is needed. The estimated number of people is not a huge number for that matter. Any further concerns on that, feel free to contact the chief.
I got another message from somebody. This was a couple weeks or last week. Somebody said something about drinking and driving on golf carts, or can you have open containers while you are driving around in a golf cart?
That would be no, but I would defer again to Chief Minor.
I'm assuming it was no, but it should be about the same laws as a vehicle.
Yeah, one
right?
of the things that we talked about when we had all the ATV, UTV discussion is that it doesn't fall in line with golf carts. Golf carts fall under motor vehicle laws, so they're held to all the same standards.
Okay, that's what I had told them, because I thought that's what it was, but I wanted to just make sure. I got several of them that people are against the pedal cars like Manitowoc has.
The pedal bike, the
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, where you got 6 or 8 people pedaling around
pedaling
town
and you got a driver. Sure.
Yeah, I said everything gets slowed down enough with golf carts, let alone having somebody going even slower on a pedal cart. Then I have several people message me on this one. There's a Facebook page out there. It's Visit Two Rivers, Wisconsin. And they said it's pretty misleading because it almost sounds like a city entity, almost like it's part of the tourism for the city. I just wanted to bring that to attention. I don't know. I didn't even know how to handle that.
Yeah, it is out there, and you're quite right. It is not associated with the city. It's a private business. That was one URL, I guess, that we didn't snap up. We tried to hold on to quite a few different names, but that is indeed a private business.
Several people messaged me about the old gas station. They said we thought it was an eyesore before, and now it hasn't been touched for like 5 or 6 weeks. And I actually went and looked myself, and there's no building permits there. And yeah, they're just wondering if it's a backdoor way to get an extension.
No, I'm not aware of any backdoor or front doorway as regards an extension. I did speak with one of the principals in Wine Nut LLC last week. They've identified that the north half of the building, the half that doesn't look like it's been touched yet, does have some structural problems. They are planning to proceed with demo and new construction on that portion. And I suggested that it would be good to have a written update to the council on that. Because right now we have a development agreement in place. Don't ask me the exact date. By a date sometime in September, this council is supposed to be provided with information of the investment of at least $100,000 there. But I was curious myself, and some issues have been encountered there as far as structural integrity and the way that I think that building was built in 3 sections over time, but the way the northerly portion is constructed, preliminary feedback, we haven't seen any plans, are that north half's going to have to come down and be rebuilt from the ground up.
I had that same question get brought up to me, and I forwarded that to Greg, I think last week, right?
Yeah.
Or the week before, whenever I got the same question or complaint, maybe from someone else, but yeah.
I had a gentleman look our office up on the same issue. So
Okay.
I think you'll be seeing some activity resuming there fairly quickly with appropriate permits.
Then I also got another one. Why the extraordinary large utility deposit for new businesses? And do all the businesses have to pay the same amount, or is it prorated? I forgot to bring that one up in the meeting this afternoon.
I know that our finance
Sure,
director,
it was like $2,500 or something.
I can only say, I know that it's a function of the estimated monthly billings the business would incur, whether or not the business has any credit track record with the city as a utility customer or not. Of course, the intent of it is to protect the other ratepayers so they don't, and I'm not, citing anything negative. I don't even know who the applicant was, but to make sure the rest of the ratepayers don't get caught holding the bag if an account goes in arrears and the business closes. But it's typically based on weighing credit history, whether there's specific credit history with our utility, and what the estimated monthly consumption or billing is likely to be. They certainly, if a new business or prospective new business has concerns, they could certainly contact my office or Dave Buss, the finance director, who oversees customer service.
I'll forward that on to them.
Please.
Then I also got several complaints about same, we talked about this one before, about the parking signs that are over across from, they're by Cool City, and it almost looks as though, and I thought so too at the time, that it looks like they are all saying that the community house gave up their parking. Just the way the signs are, it appears that it's all Cool City parking and not the city parking. I explained them to how it was, but
That certainly should not be the intent. That's the senior center parking lot for the whole day, and then after 4:30, it's opened up to public parking, not just Cool City Brewing, it's public in general, parking from my understanding. I know they got some signs pointing with arrows to the other parking lots that they own, which are off of, is that Adams Street? Right?
Yeah.
I think on Adams Street, they have other parking lots, and I think the intention of their arrows are supposed to be and are pointing in that direction for their other parking. And then I think they got another one that goes up after 4:30 that allows for public parking inside the senior center parking lot. Is that,
That one is
and I believe
supposed to
that's
go up
correct.
after 4:30
Right.
each day and come down at
Correct.
the close of business. I haven't
Right.
observed it outside those hours, but I can certainly remind the owners there. The other thing, if I'm recalling, although it was ultimately left to the city manager when that permission could go away, when the council took action, the intent was to not only see that business through Harderama, but also the reconstruction of West Park. And I believe it's next week, we anticipate the asphalt paving company in, so
Possibly this Friday, asphalt will be going in, hopefully the end of next week.
Okay.
Road should be open with new, street signs and parking.
So then the diagonal parking will be in on the street over there. So certainly at that point, I think it's fair game to say the signs need to come out.
So for those of them streaming online, that is next week is when we expect to have that paving done.
Right, so by Friday,
Asphalt, sorry.
the 16th, pavement down, striping in.
Okay.
Unless the heavens let loose, which they sure haven't for a few
Mm-mm.
weeks now.
I would just
Something
also add that we were having those parking issues with the post office, and that has helped to alleviate that issue.
Thank you.
So the post office has been working on new signage over there. The city worked on new signage against the curb, and Cool City was putting those temporary signs out to help alleviate all that. And I did follow up with the post office, and they've had no further complaints, so that has been running smoothly.
I think where the confusion was coming in with the signs is they're all the same lettering, same color. You know, it just,
Yeah, that there.
you just kind of look at one and you assume that they're all the same.
It does get a little misleading because they all do say CCB on them, and it makes it look a little different. I think they paid for the signs, but yeah, I can see where
I
some
think
people
that's
may
where the
get confused.
confusion is. That's it.
Okay. I had just one besides the one that Jeff had mentioned. Someone had emailed in, making sure that our water supply and infrastructure was good and up to date. Seeing the nation is hindered by fresh water supply and very little rain, I assured them that our water department is up to snuff on all of that. And I don't know if Andrew's here to speak to it. I don't see him. Is he in the hallway? Maybe just have him come up real quick, just briefly.
Andrew?
If Lake Michigan doesn't hold its own, we got big problems.
Yeah, we got bigger problems than that. I agree.
We have 1 trillion gallons of water.
Yeah, you want to come up to the podium?
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I'll repeat the question. I had an email come before me that said, seeing the nation is hindered by fresh water supply and little rain. They wanted to make sure that our water infrastructure is up to date and well maintained. I assured them that our capacity is met each and every day. We actually could exceed our capacity. Is that correct? From what we go through versus our capacity. So we go through less than what we can hold. Is that correct?
Normally, yes.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie that our flows the last week or so have been ridiculously high compared to normal.
Okay.
Right now, we're maintaining and I don't see any issues.
Okay.
If this prolonged dry spell lasts another 10 days or so, I think we'll be fine, but we might be talking about holding off some sprinklers if it continues for an extended period of time. But right now, we're doing all right.
Andrew, what are our typical flows and what have you seen for flows in recent days?
So last year, our highest flow for day for the year was 1.1 million gallons. This week, we've been more 1.5, 1.6. So we are up quite a bit. At that, we still got plenty of capacity in the plant. But obviously, as everybody knows, the longer the dry spell goes on, that keeps creeping up. We start hitting, close to that 2 million mark without no rain. We have plenty of capacity drinking wise. We may just have to talk about some sprinkler issues, but I think we're quite a ways away from that yet.
Our capacity is around 2 million,
It's a little bit over
a
that.
little bit over that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I don't see any issues, but I
Okay.
also don't see any rain in the forecast. So I don't want to put my foot in my mouth either.
Yeah, don't do that. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right, on to 8, which is council reports from boards, commissions, and committees. Anyone have anything they'd like to report on? Looks like Darla does.
Yeah, Environmental Advisory Board, at our last meeting, we decided that we're going to be holding the EAB meetings every other month. So for the month of June, we do not have a meeting. Our next meeting will be July 18th at 5:30, if anybody would like to join us. And then for Main Street, June is actually a pretty eventful month for us. We're going to be installing the yarn bomb pieces June 15 and 16. So that's a week and a half out. And then towards the end of the month, the art banners will be hung. And that will be right around the 29th, 30th. So after that date, I mean, up and down the Washington Street, we're going to have the art banners. We're going to have the flowers, which are already out and looking pretty darn nice, plus the yarn bomb. And if anybody doesn't know what yarn bomb is, just go out on the Main Street website. And it's really pretty cool. It's the first time that we've ever tried doing this. So that's what we've been up to.
Anybody else? Bill?
I got one that I reported before, but I want to make a change. Wendy Hutter from the County Aging Unit reported that there were food vouchers for people over 60 years of age. And, but they were meant for farmer markets. They're meant to help the farmers. So if you go to county, you can get a $30 food voucher, which is meant to be used at farmer markets anywhere in the state. So that's what that originally she said they were worth 25, but they're 30.
Is that a relatively new program?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else? And the reason probably everyone's here, city managers report. Greg?
Trust me, they're not usually here for the city manager's report. I think we have some pretty popular folks in the audience. Would like to first invite up to the dais Betty Bittner, representing Two Rivers Rotary. I think I saw Betty here earlier. Here she is. And there are other representatives of Rotary present who may accompany her. Otherwise, Tim Schrader's just getting up to harass her as she goes up to the mic. And this is for Rotary to present the balance of its donation for the Central Park West 365 project, and maybe share some of the great help they've gotten from two sister Rotary clubs in the effort. Betty, welcome.
Thank you. So on behalf of the Rotary Club of Two Rivers and the Rotary Rotary Foundation, we are presenting our last part of our $65,000 donation to the skating loop. And I have a check for $10,000. And Tim and Chris are here with me to present, but they need to come up.
Adam and Mrs. Peterson from the committee, you want to join us? For
Yes,
a quick
absolutely.
photo?
We're not photo hogs, but we'll get 10 grand from a group.
We did surpass our donation because the two clubs for Manitowoc also gave $1,800 each. So our total is $68,600.
That's awesome.
You need help?
Betty's muscles are big, but I don't know.
That's the only way the camera. Oh, great. Thank you, man. We have a police department. There we go. Taking one of our finest, taking one shot.
All right. Our organization. I can't see your face. All right, 1, 2. Perfect.
Ryan's gonna take our buffer. Ryan's gonna do some oratory. Hold the chair lower. Second lower. Perfect. Thank you.
That's a phenomenal job done by our Rotary right here in Two Rivers, and they hold many events and have been a great sponsor of not only the skating loop across the street there, but many of projects right here in Two Rivers, the beach, Vietnam, you name it. They've been pretty much a part of it. So great work done by the Rotary Club of Two Rivers.
And as I referenced earlier, actually Rotary met their $65,000 funding commitment and exceeded it by $3,600 with $1,800 apiece from Noon and Sunrise Rotary in Manitowoc.
Awesome.
So that was their share from a road rally event held last year. So our Rotary Club has a huge impact in the community, and we thank Betty and all the members for it.
And thanks to the other two clubs as well.
Yes, very much so. Okay, next up, I'd ask Police Chief Ben Minor forward to introduce to the council, and Amanda will join them for oath of office and the badge pinning for our newest police department sergeant and our newest police officer. Chief Minor.
Hello, thank you. First off, I'd like to invite, I guess I'll go Jacob Schweigel. He comes to us from both Cleveland and Mishicot PD, most recently Cleveland PD, where for the last year and a half, approximately, he was officer in charge down there. Now he's getting a fresh start up here, not only getting hired, but also promoting as sergeant, and he's here with his family. Next, Justin Jackson, our most recent hire. Justin has 4 years in the Marine Corps, most recently working as a motorcycle mechanic at Stocks Harley-Davidson and looking for a career change. So we will be sending him to the academy, the police academy at NWTC, beginning in June and ending in November. So these are our two new hires.
First, so you can please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jacob Schweigel,
I, Jacob Schweigel,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police sergeant
of police sergeant
for the city of Two Rivers
for the city of Two Rivers
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Justin Jackson,
I, Justin Jackson,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of police officer
of police officer
for the city of Two Rivers
for the city of Two Rivers
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
So Jacob's daughter, Kiara, I think I got a name, and then Taylor, Justin's girlfriend, are going to do the pinning. Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome. Congratulations and welcome.
And next up, we have a new fire chief. I'd like to first thank the Police and Fire Commission, actually with regard to the promotion, the new hires and promotions that were just discussed. And I would also like to thank them for their most recent role in screening applicants and selecting a new fire chief. Dave Murak has over 29 years with Two Rivers Police Department, most recently as assistant chief in charge of EMS and community outreach.
Fire department.
Fire. Did I say police?
Yes.
Oh, good.
We knew what you meant.
I thought I got the
For
number
the
wrong. I
record,
was trying
that's
to
all.
read what I did wrong. Police department, fire department. Yes. I apologize for that, Chief. Dave's been a huge contributor to what the TRFD, Two Rivers Fire Department, is today, and is truly the right person to provide leadership to our outstanding department that provides a very high level of service valued by this community as we move into the future. So Amanda will administer the oath of office. I know we have a number of family members here that may join in the pinning. Chief, congratulations. Amanda.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Dave Murak, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Fire Chief for the City of Two Rivers to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Chief, if you want to introduce the cast assembled there for your pinning, that'd be great.
This is my daughter, Olivia. My oldest son, Caden. And my name is Liam.
Thank you.
Actually.
Congratulations, Chief Murak.
Hey, we hear a lot about the difficulties of staffing these days, especially in public safety agencies. Everybody we've seen, from new recruits that have come on board in police and fire recently, to the talent within those departments that has stepped up and taken on new responsibilities, earned those promotions awarded through the Police and Fire Commission. Two Rivers is in good shape in this area. So
Very
thank
much
you
so.
all. Feel free to exit the building. We've got a really exciting agenda ahead of us, but if you want to leave, you clearly have everybody's permission. And if the elevator takes too long, there's stairs to your left at the north end of the building. I'm glad public input's over, because the folks that are left must have a beef or something. Although they look pretty friendly. So. In the interest of keeping it moving, I'll move into my report then. First up, it's all about the people that provide the services here. And just to recap again, we just welcomed our new fire chief. Got it right that time. Newest police officer, Justin Jackson, headed off to the academy shortly. And our new patrol officer, very quickly, new police sergeant with a wealth of experience in police work, Jacob Schweigel. We are advertising right now for a position to be vacated shortly by retirement in the water utility, looking for a certified water operator. And that's a career field that provides also great professional opportunities. And as we're reminded, especially in this weather, year-round, a very valuable service. So certified water operator, chance to join Two Rivers Utilities. Speaking of utilities, the work over on Lincoln Street continues. The public and private sewer laterals and services, as well as the main that connect to, are completed from 17th Street up to 20th. I believe we had lined the sanitary on that projects on that street recently, so we didn't do sanitary replacement. Storm sewer installation is now progressing from 17th up to 19th. So we appreciate the patience of those neighbors as that project proceeds. Central Park West 365. Happy to report donations, especially paver donations, keep rolling in. Fundraising donation total now totals $817,740. Actually, if you add that net 3,600 from the two Manitowoc Rotaries, we're a little over 21,000 over goal. And that's good because while we're still waiting on the WEDC Vibrant Spaces grant, we still identify the need for about $75,000 in project funding. We've had a couple of things come in under budget, which are good, but we're in the neighborhood as far as total spend and on schedule. As far as what's been happening lately, last week, the concrete work on the park and the street were completed. This week, you'll see the completion of site grading. You might have noticed the hill in the lawn area has come down appreciably, and I think actually it will make for a pretty cool, slightly elevated seating area there. The stage masonry work, mostly that related to the Schmidt Brothers dedication, is being completed. That's on the north side of the stage. Those individual name plaques that were paid are being paid out of additional donations above the $100,000 for the stage from the Schmidt family are going in. This week you should see sod installed, and yes, you'll see the sprinklers running. So, Andrew, you better keep that water flowing because it's, we don't want to have brown sod out there. The pavilion building is getting wrapped up, and they may mobilize and start work this week, but as Matt Heckenleibel, our city engineer, reported previously, we'll see the asphalt work begin on West Park and should be wrapped up by the end of next. See them putting the splash pad through its paces and activating the sound system. The donor signage installation will begin. Some of those signs are still in process, and site furnishing installation. Do we have the site furnishings, Mike? From
yeah, they should be delivered at the end of this week.
Okay, very good. That from HF, the affiliate of Formrite here in Two Rivers. They're producing all of the park furnishings. So things are coming along. The only thing out there that's kind of hanging right now, or not hanging, is the catenary lighting, the festive lighting that goes over the skating loop. Those poles are not due in until August, so that one may have to be a footnote. We could change them out and do a $2,500 change order, but as of today, I'm saying, you know what, we'll highlight that lighting when it goes up, as opposed to, we've had a couple add-on change orders. We can wait a little longer on that one, although I'm a little disappointed there. Photos there, you see the nameplates for the various Schmidt donors, the framing in of the rear wall portions that will hold the Schmidt family plaques. Those are in and look very good. And trees went in last week. And yes, for those of you that follow Facebook, there is a restroom in the middle of the park, and it will serve many needs. I'm not going there. Well, maybe I will go there, but I'm not going on Facebook. So I will go in the building, however. As far as tourism, Brian Dean, our tourism director, shared some information. We're continuing to see upward trends. I haven't seen the final collections through April, which didn't finalize until the very end of May because there's a month grace period. But through the end of March, again this year, room tax is running ahead of the preceding year. So last year was at 290,000. So far in 2023, we're outpacing last year. And if you try to find reservations for out-of-town company, whether at a local motel, hotel, or Airbnb, you'll know it's busy out there. The summer's busy. Explore Two Rivers is expanding the city's marketing efforts to include, through Seehafer Communications, a 2-minute weekly radio promotion on Two Rivers tourism and visitor events, and that will be on several of the stations identified there of the C. Hafer broadcast network, including WOMT, Lake 98.1, and others. Brian is also working with Sign Me Up billboards for a digital billboard presence on northbound I-43 just south of Sheboygan. And that technology's come so far. He was talking the other day about how the programming can be updated basically from your desktop to feature new items. We'll be sure to have Brian share some of that at the next council meeting. I think we'll be in a position. Actually, I shouldn't take all the air. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to share on the Fox Cities magazine spread or any of that effort?
Well, we're very enthusiastic about it.
Which is on the screen. And actually, if you come to the mic, so
Okay.
about the thousands of people who tune in every Monday night. If you cough it out, I'll catch it. I got my middle.
This is a great opportunity. Every summer, Fox Cities Magazine puts out a Worth the Drive edition in July. And this summer, focus on the city of Two Rivers. So we solicited the support of our local business and attraction community, and we were able to put this together. Explore Two Rivers led the effort under with significant support from the Two Rivers Business Association and others. So we think this 2-page spread is very compelling, and we think it's going to drive a lot of business our way this summer. So thank you.
Thank you. I think a great model too, hopefully for future collaboration for Explore Two Rivers and our local businesses working together and co-oping it. I think this was 1/3 room tax and 2/3 individual advertisers plus TRBA. So.
Right, it was exactly 1/3. The Two Rivers buy, Explore Two Rivers to buy is what's represented on that upper banner. And the remainder of that was purchased through that events calendar. So it was a collaborative effort, and we're all very enthusiastic about that model. We think it's a template for moving forward and working collectively as a community to put out our advertising in significant publications that attract people from very critical demographics.
Very good.
So thank you.
I didn't think to share in this as well. Our Wisconsin Monthly came out last month with an issue that included a drone photo of some of the creative beach grooming that Chris DeCoke did last summer. So it featured his basket weave design, which for my money is a good investment of city summer seasonal wages because it's way cool. Yeah, way cool. So I think that's great coverage, all great coverage. You may have seen it yourselves. Otherwise, if you're hearing it here the first time, hallelujah, the paint is going down on the pickleball and tennis courts at Washington Park. The contractor actually started prep work on Sunday. They will be probably working through the week to get the paint work and the striping done. Then we need to get the fencing company back in here to install the net support posts and the net. So Mike, we're a little gun shy about ETA, but hopefully within the next few weeks.
They told me they should be done with this by the end of the week, so hopefully within 2 weeks we'll be all set.
Marking done by the end of the week, and I know our Parks and Rec director's in close communication with the folks to come back and get the posts and the nets put up. And the guys painting it said several pickleballers had been by today, so they're aware of it.
They're ready.
Out there. Yeah. Upcoming events: open house at Hamilton Wood Type and Printing Museum this coming Saturday, the 10th. Family-friendly event. I believe it's free admission that day. If it isn't, well, maybe I just cost them some money. Also, this coming Sunday, the HFM Freighter Maritime Marathon. That's starting at the UW Green Bay Manitowoc campus, up Mariners Trail along the lakeshore to Point Beach State Forest, and then the return. There's always a lot of close coordination with our police and various support departments. This is a Boston Marathon qualifier and generally has several hundred participants. Our Two Rivers Utilities would remind you that there's an e-waste recycling event coming up next week, Tuesday, down at the Two Rivers Two Rivers Utilities complex, immediately across from McDonald's on Lake Street. There are fees for many of the things listed there, but the good news is you can get rid of those incandescent bulbs, fluorescent lights, CFLs, LEDs, no charge for mini Christmas lights, the ones you save in the basement thinking, I'll figure out why this dang thing, now get rid of them. As your spouse is already telling you, get rid of them, bring them to the recycle event. No charge for non-PCB ballasts. For a fee, you can get rid of those alkaline batteries. No charge for the rechargeable batteries, and so on. So not only get the clutter out of your house, make sure it's safely and appropriately disposed of. Next week, Tuesday, down at the utility offices. Two Rivers Snow Fest, fundraiser a week from next Saturday, the Summer Snow Stroll, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. in downtown Two Rivers. Tickets $30, available at Seeds and Beans or Weicker Realtors. We would like to thank Manitowoc Ice for the generous donation of a new ice maker to the utilities, specifically the water plant makes use of a lot of ice, as noted here, for water samples that are taken and then shipped out for analysis. So Manitowoc Ice continues to be a great corporate resident, might be located just down the road, but a lot of great Two Rivers people work there. I happen to be married to one of them, but we also thank Bo Erickson of Ice for making this possible. Just noting some upcoming events that involve that are local community events and involve our Parks and Rec department, which is the keeper of so many of our tourism facilities. This past weekend was Carp Fest, and we had folks from around the country and some international guests seeking out the mighty carp in the East and West Twin River. I mentioned earlier the HFM Freighter Marathon on the 11th. Sunday, Thursday, coming up on the 22nd. That leads right into Cool City Classic Car Cruise on Friday night and car show on Saturday. It's not just happening downtown that weekend, though. Beach Bash is going on over at Neshota Beach. So we've got activities all over town on the 23rd and 24th. Kids Night Bike Rodeo on the 27th. And then the EVP Beach Volleyball Tournament returns to Neshota Beach on June 30th. So a whole lot of things, and that doesn't even get us into July. Again, the flyer on various Two Rivers events, notably Sunday, Thursday, and then the concerts in the park and bands on the beach. Shout out to rec department staff and the community sponsors that again have made a full summer of activities possible. Over $30,000 in donations supporting 4th of July fireworks and the various summer programs. I did want to follow up, and this is not an agenda item, so I'll just talk, and Jack cautioned me, this is not a discussion item, but I did want to share. Bonnie had brought up a citizen concern shared with her at the last meeting regarding a couple of problem properties on the south side. And at the end of that discussion, it was agreed we'll spend some time at the June work session 3 weeks from tonight, talking about ordinances and our approach to enforcement of ordinances as they relate to nuisances and property maintenance. I did want to follow up though, because Bonnie did share with me the two locations of concern. I'm not going to be too specific about them, but the first property was a location on 11th Street. That property owner had already been, this was the May 15 council meeting. That property owner had been contacted by the community service officer on May 9th about a lot of, well, both trash and garbage cans and materials like from a yard sale or garage sale that had been placed on the terrace for an extended period of time. So the terrace between the sidewalk and the curb and in the front yard of the residence. The property owner was given until May 22 to comply. Property was not in compliance upon re-inspection by our community service officer. The owner was issued a citation on May 24th. The problem has since been rectified. So that was when I referenced that night because I had happened to see that same property the weekend before. Doesn't say there won't be more violations, but that one was in process and has been addressed. The other property, a location on Roosevelt Avenue, I can say on that one that the property in question is the subject of a current enforcement action under the city's chronic nuisance ordinance. In order for a property to be considered under that ordinance, it has to have been the subject of at least 3 bona fide nuisance or property maintenance complaints within the preceding 12 months. That property met those criteria, as have several others that are in process. The city at this point is waiting on circuit court authorization to go onto the property for removal of materials that constitute violations of the city ordinance. And police chief and I had a discussion on this today, and we are on it. But again, as Chief Minor mentioned last time, local ordinance violations aren't necessarily a top priority for the circuit court. So we're waiting on that. That's an action that began in 2022. So it's more than 6 months old now. That same property was previously the subject of an enforcement action under the chronic nuisance ordinance, for which the municipal court assessed penalty and cost totaling $500, which basically was the $200 plan, a nuisance abatement plan that a property owner has to sit down and work out with the police department. Once they reach that nuisance property stage, there's an admin fee of $200 for that. And then the court levied what I understand were penalties totaling $300. Skip ahead here, under the chronic nuisance premises ordinance, violations can result in a forfeiture ranging from not less than $200 nor more than $5,000. So this is not under the general penalty, which we talked about last time, but under this specific ordinance, it's not less than 200, not more than 5,000. And in addition to that, costs incurred by the city to enforce or abate the nuisance can be assessed against the property. They're billed to the premises, and if they go unpaid, there's a $100 admin fee tacked on, and they become a lien on the premises. And understand that that admin fee isn't meant to be punitive. It takes staff time, and in that instance, we should at least be probably filing with the Register of Deeds against the property that there is a lien. We've not had a lot of experience with prosecution under the chronic nuisance ordinance, which is fairly new. There was one other case where the total penalty levied by the court was $5,000. So this one is not without teeth. And as I note there, we'll talk about this ordinance and some others. I did want to also, though, talk briefly, because it's grass season and the grass that isn't burning up is growing. This was changed by action of the council, I believe, 2 years ago. Again, this ordinance addresses noxious weeds and tall grass, and the penalties as provided in section F, as shown on this slide, provide that if you get a notice and fail to comply with the notice for tall grass or weeds, within 5 days of mailing, the owner is subject to a $75 forfeiture, and the city can, if they don't do it timely, the city also bills for time and equipment, labor and equipment involved. Any subsequent violations in the same calendar year involving the same property and the same owner, that owner will be subject to a $150 forfeiture for those violations. Now, the city may still have to come in after 5 days and mow it and bag it and haul it away, but that shall be subject to a $150 forfeiture. We need to make sure that's getting uniformly enforced and keep it up, because those dollars ought to be enough to hurt. And the intent isn't to make money, the intent is compliance. So more on that at the council meeting on the 26th. Final item under legislative intergovernmental update. We talked 3 weeks ago about the fresh news about the shared revenue bill having passed the Wisconsin Assembly. Darla and Bill and Tracy had all been there for the League's legislative day. Happened to be the same day as the Senate hearing on the bill. The bill on the Assembly side passed out of the Assembly on May 17th with a 15% minimum increase for all municipalities. We know Two Rivers would be looking at 17.5% under the Assembly bill. The Senate bill, as introduced, would be a minimum 10% increase. Two Rivers would be looking at 12.5%. That still has not proceeded to a floor vote. And there's not a lot of press out there, but by all indications, it's hung up on this Milwaukee issue. You've got the Assembly, notably Speaker Voss, saying he is not looking to compromise on the issue of the County of Milwaukee and the City of Milwaukee having to go to the voters at referendum to raise the local sales tax to bail out their bankrupt pension system. The Senate, based on statements from Devin Lemahue from Sheboygan, the majority leader, appears open to letting the city council and the county board make the decision and live with the consequences. But has indicated recently that he doesn't have the votes to bring the bill through with that provision. So that's got the potential, and Governor Evers, I know, has been advocating to let the local legislative bodies in Milwaukee. And I think everybody's fear, the folks that are saying let the local council and county board make a decision are afraid it's going to be a hard sell to the voters. And if voters say no, we're going to see our state's largest city not circling the drain, but probably sucked into a very bad fiscal financial situation. So stay tuned. Let's just hope in the process it doesn't louse things up for what is a badly needed shared revenue increase. Stay tuned. And finishing up with a beautiful picture of the 22nd Street Bridge, the Police Officers Memorial Bridge from Just Austin. That's my report. Thanks.
All right, beautiful picture. On to number 10, which is the consent agenda. Under A, we have presentation of minutes. There are two: a city council meeting of May 15th, 2023, and a city council work session of May 22nd, 2023. Recommended action is a motion to waive reading and adopt the minutes. Under B, minutes of meetings, there are 5. The recommended action is a motion to receive and file. Under C, finance reports for March of 2023, we have 1. There's 1, but multiple under there: debt service, general fund, Leicester Library, and utilities report. The recommended action is a motion to receive and file. Under D, summary of verified bills for the month of May 2023 for $2,141,340.54. The recommended action is a motion to receive and file. Under E, applications and petitions, we have 6. We have an application for a new combination Class B beer / Class B liquor license application for the period of June 6th, 2023 to June 30th, 2023 for Heroes Venture Arcade, LLC, located at 2022 Washington Street. Michael Cleveland, agent, doing business as Heroes Venture Arcade. We also have an application for a temporary Class B retailer's license from the Two Rivers Main Street for Cool City Classic Car Show and Cruise, which is on June 23rd and 24th, 2023 in Central Park. There's also an application for a temporary Class B retailer's license from SCL Softball Club for the SCL Softball Tournament, July 7th through the 9th, 2023 at Vietnam Veterans Memorial Park. We have an application for a temporary Class B retailer's license from the Two Rivers Main Street for Brian Lee Memorial's Blues Fest on July 22nd, 2023 in Central Park. And we have an application for a temporary Class B retailer's license from Lakeshore's United Visionaries for Lakeshore Pride, July 29th, 2023 at the Two Rivers Community House. And we also have an application for a temporary Class B retailer's license from the Two Rivers Main Street for Ethnic Festival, September 16th, 2023 in Central Park. The recommended action is a motion to approve the application and authorize issuance of the license. Under F, renewal license applications for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. We have 1 Class A beer license. We have 7 combination Class A beer / Class A liquor license. We have 18 combination Class B beer / Class B liquor license. And we have 10 beer garden permits, including waiver to minimum distance from residential property requirement for Submariners Pub, LLC. We have 5 cigarette and tobacco retailer, we have 8 cigarette and tobacco retail product licenses. And we have 11 landscape and tree removal licenses. The recommended action is a motion to approve the applications and authorize issuance of the licenses as provided in the list submitted by the city clerk upon satisfactory inspection. Under G, we have a noise ordinance waiver for Beach Bash 2023 on June 23rd and 24th until 11:30 p.m. at Neshoto Beach. Waive the provisions of section 9-2-5B 2B regarding noise audible within an enclosed structure used for residential purposes, and section 9-2-5D pertaining to vibration. The recommended action is a motion to approve the noise ordinance waiver. And finally, under H, we have a noise ordinance waiver for Latino American Beach Festival, July 14th and July 15th until 11 p.m. at Neshoto Beach. Waive the provisions of section 9-2-5B 2B regarding noise audible within an enclosed structure used for residential purposes, and section 9-2-5D pertaining to vibration. The recommended action is a motion to approve the noise ordinance waiver. The recommended action for the consent agenda as a whole is a motion to approve the consent agenda with the various actions recommended. Looking for a motion on the consent agenda. Thank you, Bill. Seconded by Bonnie. Council discussion. I just have one, and it's on the arcade. When it says the buildings, it says in the front, pay to play, on the side hall, and in the adult arcade, and in the back area with admission only arcade. Is that covering the whole premises?
Mr. Cleveland is here from the arcade.
You can,
Oh,
if you
Michael,
want to.
feel free. Welcome, by the way, and thanks for being here.
I'm only looking to serve in the front portion of the arcade where it can be under my supervision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then are kids allowed in that same area as well?
Correct.
We're also asking for allowance to utilize our back area during events. So we do end up holding concerts, any sort of tournaments. So during those events, that is when we would allow the use of the alcohol in that back area.
Okay. Okay.
Otherwise, I don't want it back there. I want it.
Okay. Okay. That was my only question. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Bill.
What is SCL?
That is, what's the concrete name? I know this. Why can't I think of the concrete name? Siler. It's a Siler. TJ Siler. What's his concrete name?
Oh, Siler Brothers.
Yeah, no, he doesn't go under Siler Brothers, though, I thought. There's two of them. It's that and Lanza's. SC stands for his. Yeah, it's SC Concrete. Thank you. Yes, it's just SC Concrete. There you go. It's a Siler that runs that one of the Siler brothers. I think he's a grandson, maybe, or something of that sort. I think this is their 5th tournament, maybe, up at Vietnam. It's a men's slow pitch one. They've been there a couple times before. Anybody else? I will abstain from this vote, seeing I have something in this vote. So looking for all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you very much. On to city council formal items. Under A, we have a resolution recognizing Thursday, June 22nd of 2023 as Sunday Thursday. The recommended action is a motion to read and adopt the resolution. Greg.
It's happily short, so if you want, I'll go ahead and read it.
Yes, please.
Okay, it usually passes. Resolution, Sunday, Thursday. Whereas the first ice cream was created in Two Rivers Ice Cream Parlor by Ed Berners in 1881. And whereas Two Rivers is recognized in the National Register of Historic Places as the birthplace of the ice cream sundae. And whereas the Two Rivers Parks and Rec Department, along with the entire community, will celebrate the creation of the ice cream sundae on Thursday, June 22, 2023, with a band concert and old-fashioned ice cream social in Central Park. Music by the Two Rivers Community Band in Central Park on June 23, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. samples of homemade ice cream and ice cream sundae eating contest, inflatables, and children's games in Central Park on Thursday, June 22. It should be 22 in both of these subparagraphs. Otherwise, you'd be on Friday, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Thursday, June 22, be designated as Sunday, Thursday in Two Rivers in commemoration of the city's contribution to ice cream sundae lovers worldwide. By the way, given the latest SOD report for the park, we may not be in Central Park West, but it will be in the Central Park, not on grass anyway. It'll be in the Central Park vicinity. Make it downtown, look for the inflatables, look for all the ice cream on Thursday, the 22nd, and we'll get that corrected. Thank you.
Great. Looking for a motion on this one. Thank you, Scott. Second by Bonnie. Council discussion. See none, it is a resolution. It is a roll call vote. Amanda?
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Tim Petrie,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
and Jeff Delkey.
Aye.
All in favor.
Okay, on to B, ordinance to create section 2-1-5 entitled Central Count to provide requirements and standards for central count of absentee ballots for elections. Recommended action, motion to waive reading and adopt the ordinance. Greg, Amanda, are you teaming this one or?
I'll just introduce
Okay.
very briefly. The council at its May work session heard a report from our city clerk, Amanda Behrenbrook, about the concept of central count and basically creating a central canvassing facility for absentee ballots. She can cite the numbers, but in recent elections, the numbers of absentee ballots have been quite large. Presently, that falls on the workers at our two polling places, in addition to their other duties. This would establish, as the name implies, central count for those absent voter ballots. It's improved process control. I think it's easier on those election workers on election day. I probably sucked all the air out of the room, but Amanda, fill in the color commentary.
So pretty much it'll just function as an additional polling place. So it's still open to the public for observers to view. And then just helps out with ballot security. They'll never leave City Hall once they're returned for processing. And then it'll just kind of help alleviate the chaos that happens on election day with trying to process the absentee ballots, like Greg said, and do the voters and help them get out of the polling place at a reasonable hour at night instead of always processing after the polls close.
So right now absentee ballots are sent to City Hall.
Correct. So they're sent to City Hall. They're marked in the Wisconsin voter system that they're returned, so voters can pretty much track their ballots. And then they are gone through and reconciled and then delivered to the polling place numerous times throughout the day for processing. And they ultimately sit there until they actually have time to get to them, where this way they would be able to start right at 7:00 when the polls open, processing them right away here.
Right, so when the ballots come in here, they would stay here instead of having to take a trip to one of the two polling places that we have in the city, right?
Correct.
Okay, just so everybody understands. I understand, but make sure everybody understands that kind of the purpose for this, not that ballots are leaving. I mean, sometimes you hear about that with election security, that you find some in the ditch and yada, yada, yada. Well, we can ensure that that won't happen. It doesn't happen now, but it won't happen. Is that it?
That's it.
Perfectly covered. Looking for a motion on this.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Second by Tim. Council discussion.
Is there a cost to this?
Yep, so we have to buy a Badger Book server. It's right around $2,000. All the other equipment we already have.
There may be some limited grant money we can access for that, or was that for another piece of equipment?
That was for the ADA equipment.
ADA, okay, thank you.
Okay, roll call vote. Amanda. Oh, you got something. Okay, I didn't see your hand, Bonnie.
Usually you discuss.
Yeah, we are. Bill had his discussion. I didn't see
No,
our
I mean
hands.
after you take the. Okay, so anyway, in the ordinance on two parent B, and it says the municipal board of absentee canvassers shall be composed of the municipal court clerk or their designee. Now how much of a say are the Republicans and Democrats going to have? Because they basically have say in who your poll workers are. If they want certain people to be a poll worker, you have to you have to comply, right?
Correct. But there's a limited number of people we can put on the absentee, the municipal board of absentee canvassers, which means that we can keep it balanced. So if it can't all just be Republicans or all Democrats, there'll be a balanced number between both. And the number of people on the board will vary on election based on the number of absentee ballots that we get returned.
And then the total cost of all of this is about $7,000, right?
No, about 2.
Yeah, but I don't understand that other one then. The accessible voting equipment. You have two things.
That was for handicap accessibility at the polls. That was the thing I stumbled into a few minutes ago where there's a grant funding opportunity.
So that we're not voting on or authorizing even at this point. We're just changing the ordinance so she can go ahead and ask us to purchase the central count, which will not include the ADA or the other $5,000 piece of equipment. It'll only include the $2,000 piece of equipment. But we're not even voting on that right now. We're just changing the ordinance to allow us to do this.
Okay.
Any other questions? No. Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody else? This is a roll call vote. Amanda?
Darla Leclerc?
Aye.
Tim Petrie?
Aye.
Bonnie Shimaluna?
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister?
Aye.
Adam
Excuse me.
Oshowski?
Aye.
Jeff Delkey?
Aye.
Bill Leclerc?
Aye.
All in favor.
On to C, resolution authorizing amendment number 2 to tax incremental financing property sale, cash grant and developers performance agreement with Confluence LLC. Recommended action, motion to waive reading and adopt the resolution. Greg, can you walk us into this?
Yes, the city last year created tax incremental district number 16 to assist with redevelopment of the former Edgar's downtown plant site owned by the city, located on the East Twin River down here at the end of 18th Street. We have a development agreement in place. That's the referenced agreement in this resolution with the Confluence LLC, which proposes to build initially a single building. Presently, they're estimating 70 market rate apartment units, 6 to 7 stories in height on a portion of that site. Remember, the city built a stormwater pond on about the northerly third. We've been marketing the remainder of the site. The development agreement provides for initially developing the roughly the north half of that remainder of the site. And we have a development agreement that's been in place since December 22 of last year. It was amended by authorization of the council in January to change some of the deadline dates that fall within the agreement. The developer has asked us to again revisit those dates. We discussed that with a representative of the developer at the council's May 22 work session, and he walked through the various changes that were proposed, as well as sharing some of the preliminary architectural drawings and site plans. So this resolution in front of you basically gives some of that history and identifies the changes that are proposed, and I'll run through those quickly. The deadline for developers' submission of site and architectural plans, and those are plans defined in our zoning code to the city. This would be for review and approval or disapproval by the Plan Commission. That was originally to be January 1. The current amendment had moved it to March 1. The Confluence LLC is proposing September 1, still this year, but a little bit later. They are adding a new intermediate submittal, which would be design plans for estimating purposes, for providing their project budget, and for identifying the necessary land division out of that remainder site that I referenced, which is in total about 2.3 acres. So that specific deadline wasn't included in earlier agreements. It would be inserted as July 1 of this year. As far as a project cost breakdown, a detailed project cost breakdown for the project, that had tracked together on the same timetable as proof of project financing, evidence of the necessary bank and investor financing for this roughly $13 million project. Each of those two items, project cost breakdown and proof of project financing initially were March 1 of this year. Most recently had been amended to May 1. It's now proposed that the detailed project cost breakdown would go to August 1, 3 additional months out. And that final proof of project financing September 1, 4 additional months out. Project commencement originally proposed May 1, amended back in January to July 1, proposed for October 1. Project completion originally, and in the first amendment to this agreement, cited as December 31. That deadline is proposed to move out to May 1. All I can tell you is the developer is quite confident of this timetable. I know our council president made that point in asking him at the work session, are you confident in these dates? Because we understand these things take time and it's a tough environment out there. I'm paraphrasing for Adam here, but, and I would agree, we would prefer not to be bringing this back again. However, the gentleman from the developer, Kip Golden, did indicate a high level of confidence and investor interest. So with that, I would recommend council approval of this resolution, which basically would give city staff the authority to develop an amendment number 2 to the agreement. That amendment to be reviewed by the city attorney and then signed on behalf of the city by the city manager and clerk. But essentially, it would be only for the purpose of implementing these changes, and as noted in the final sentence over on page 2, all other items of the agreement are to remain unchanged.
Okay. Looking for a motion on this. Thank you, Scott. Second by Tim. Any council discussion on this? Yes, Bill.
Is this keeping anybody else from developing property?
Well, obviously, we haven't been promoting the property to others at this point, but we've had discussions with other parties that this is a site that we've had available. It's currently tied up. So I guess in fairness, it is to an extent. Sure.
So is this gonna be the last time we set dates for them?
I can only parrot what the developer said. And the other thing, honestly, I think we all get a little frustrated, but this is not unusual for projects of this nature. We've seen other projects in other communities where timetables need to get adjusted. So,
at the work session, that's kind of why I kind of struck him with that. I know you guys were on the phone for that. I think you guys were in Madison. And I kind of said similar to that same thing is we don't want to be doing this again. So make sure you're comfortable with these dates. Make sure you like these dates. There's people asking about the property. They're asking about the apartments that we keep saying are coming. And we don't want to sit here and keep saying, yeah, they're coming, and then we're going to extend it, and then we're going to extend it. That this has to be the final one. And he did sound very confident at our work session. Even looking him straight in the eyes, said, this should be the last one. They feel very confident that this is the one. I guess I'll believe him, and if not, I'm not going to be very happy. And I think some other people on this council won't be very happy either. Because, we've spent a lot of time, and Elizabeth and Greg and others have spent a lot of time, but he's also said, and Greg has indicated, that projects of this size sometimes come up with these, especially this day and era, when it's tough to find contractors. It's tough to find pretty much anyone to do a lot of things, quite frankly, but we can't keep coming up with excuses though either.
These same folks, for example, are doing the Bryn project in Menasha, redevelopment of the old Bryn Theater site that was destroyed by fire. I know initially, we need approvals. There's no TIF assistance required. Then there was TIF assistance required. There were extensions. That project is well underway now. So here's hoping. And quite honestly, unless the council's decision, I'd be hard pressed to be back in a couple of months recommending a further extension.
Mm-hmm.
So,
question. Anybody else? Scott?
Yeah, they keep pushing back, but at least the project completion is only, I don't want to say only delayed 5 months, but they only pushed it back 5 months instead of beginning from January 2023 to September. That's 9 months. So, they have some room in there at least, but hopefully they can get it done by May 1st. fingers crossed.
And the size changed a lot,
Mm-hmm.
went from 50 to 70.
70 units, right. And some cool rooftop features.
And remember, our intent is once the development site number 1 gets defined, to proceed to amend the balance of the development site out of the TIF and have this TIF district driven by the revenue from the first building of what hopefully are 2. Not to get too far down the road there, but that's ultimately the intent.
Jeff?
I'm just disappointed when they came with this last proposal and the design that initially they said there were gonna be some 3 bedrooms in there and there were none. None at all.
There was that topic when we did talk to him one time, and I know you had brought that up, and they were gonna look to see if they could find ways to try to get that in there, and yeah, they have not. And I don't know if that's kind of the study that they have, that they feel that 3 bedrooms are less likely to be rentable. I don't know their theory behind it. I don't. But that was a discussion, you're right, that we did have with them. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, roll call vote. Amanda?
Ted Petrie? Adam Shimulis?
Aye.
Scott Steffmeser?
Aye.
Adam Husky?
Aye.
Jeff Dolkey?
No.
Bill Leclerc?
Aye.
Darla Leclerc?
Aye.
All right, for information only, Greg, you have that handy?
Nothing real exciting here. Just remind you, our next regular meeting is in 2 weeks on the 19th, work session on June 26th, and the July meeting, again, with the 4th of July holiday falling on a Tuesday, we're bumping that to Wednesday, July 5th. So no closed session tonight. We're on a run there. It's been a while.
We
since
are.
had a closed session.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's all we have.
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Second by Tim. Council discussion. Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you and good night.